Tales from the top flight.
Did you like that, Chris?
Mate, I haven't even been able to see it yet, so it looks like you enjoyed it.
I had a great time, mate. We'll send it over to you. You've got your own little sting now every time you come on the show, mate.
Brilliant.
That's all right. Good to see you, mate. How you doing? All right?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. I've been reading your book every now and then.
Oh, nice.
Chris
nice.
very kindly, he wrote a book about Football Manager. He very kindly sent me in the week, and in between reading Nick Frost's autobiography, I'm occasionally dabbling in yours as well. So thank you for that, mate. Let's talk about the Premier League. It's back. It's back tomorrow. I know that you love a bit of Premier League. Loads of good games. I mean, where should we go? Let's start with a bit of Arsenal versus Middlesbrough tomorrow. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it should be a good game. I mean, it's nice to see that Mesut Ozil's shown he can deliver goals when absolutely necessarily, especially when you're 3-0 up against a very average Bulgarian side. And, I think Rio Ferdinand
nailed Chris. Gianluca's not happy with you.
Nailed the photo that they took in the changing room beautifully afterwards, saying, "Lads, where's the trophy?" So it could be that Arsenal getting a little bit ahead of themselves once again, and it could be perfectly placed for Middlesbrough to be the team that ends their run.
I agree. As this winning run goes on, eventually it's got to come to an end, and I think tomorrow people are almost not giving Middlesbrough a chance, and these are the games we've seen Arsenal slip up in over the years, aren't they?
Well, I remember once, it was 2006, where I thought we were going to get thrashed by Arsenal, and it was, I think we ended up in a 1-1 draw. Kieran Dyer got the goal that day, Thierry Henry got the equaliser. Just
classic.
Those kind of games Arsenal could slip up on.
Potential bananas.
Swansea last season in their title challenge, but I feel like everything's going really well for Arsenal at the moment. I love the football they're playing, and Middlesbrough were atrocious last week against Watford. They weren't too good.
They were very poor.
Like I said, Karanka is a defensively solid manager when he gets it right. I'm a fan of George Friend when he's such a passionate player for that team. Ben Gibson, he just can't get any of the strikers playing. Rhodes, Negredo. I was a fan of Adam Clayton. No, it wasn't. It was well, Clayton's a decent player, but it was Forshaw I thought was good for them early doors in the season. But Middlesbrough have kind of tailed off recently. Traore adds that bit of pace, but again, no final product. Hoofing balls into the box. It just didn't look very good against Watford.
It was a bit ugly for Middlesbrough at the weekend, wasn't it? Chris, also Leicester versus Palace. Palace, bit of a surprise result. Lost to West Ham last week. Leicester, we don't know which Leicester's going to turn up at the minute.
It'll probably be the Premier League Leicester, I would imagine. I mean, as we all know, they've got more Champions League points than Premier League points at the minute. And Ranieri's flipping between being angry and proud. I mean, proud whenever the Champions League music kicks in, but a little bit angry when the old song of Match of the Day starts to come on a Saturday night. So it's tough for Leicester at the minute. I think the only way they're going to get into Europe next season is probably through the Fair Play Awards. So, but I hope the Champions League whilst it lasts.
They are quite a nice team. They probably will get through in the Fair Play League. I noticed as well, you said that you wanted to talk about Liverpool, West Brom. Be careful, these are my boys you're talking about here, Chris. But after I saw you wrote an article in the week about comparing Tony Pulis and Jose Mourinho. So, what do you make of Liverpool, West Brom coming up?
Well, Kloppo managed to insult two teams in one fell swoop today, which I thought was brilliant, saying that playing United was the perfect warm-up to playing a team like West Bromwich Albion. Which, tell you what, when you got Klopp around, you don't need to write the gags. He can do it. It's fantastic.
I'm actually going as Jurgen Klopp to Halloween, Chris. You'll be pleased to hear.
Brilliant.
I'll make sure you're the first one to see the picture.
The beard almost does it, doesn't it?
Well, that's it. I'm growing the ginger beard and I'm going to spray some grey in it. I've got the glasses, got the full tracksuit, got the cap. I think you're going to really appreciate it, Chris. You'll be the first one to get a photo, mate.
Nice one. Looking forward to it.
As a thank you for all those inappropriate photos you send me in the week. Anyway, moving swiftly on to the next game, which is Manchester City versus Southampton. I mean, what's going on at Manchester City? Guardiola's finding out that English football's not as easy as you think, is it?
Well, that and European football.
Yeah, that too.
It's been a tough week for City, really, isn't it? I mean, Pep was a little bit like the dad who's left his wife for another woman, really, in the week, and then seen her in the shopping centre and realised that she still looks quite good. No, I mean, Claudio Bravo's a little bit like the troublesome stepkid as well that Pep's taken on in his new marriage, and feels like he's got to keep sticking up for him when really he wants to, really doesn't really know what he should be doing. So the best thing about that entire thing, though, is Kevin De Bruyne after the game refusing to sign autographs with some of the City fans that have flown over to Barcelona, saying he was too tired. I'd imagine trotting back to the centre circle 4 times after you conceded can be quite wearing for you. But yeah, no, it's been a tough week for City, but all the talk about Pep. I mean, Stan Collymore in the press again this week, obviously trying to get a few clicks on it on his website, saying that Pep's never going to really adjust to the English game and it's not as easy as he thought it was going to be, etc., etc. Probably should ask Stan how his career in Spain went, really, because I think better out of the two of them.
Imagine that, Chris, somebody coming on TV and being outspoken so they got a few more clicks on their website. Hey, can you imagine that?
It's tragic, isn't it? People like us have to stoop to that level.
And finally, we can't go unnoticed. A absolutely massive game this weekend. Chelsea versus Man United. The big games are coming thick and fast for Jose Mourinho at the moment, aren't they? Well,
yeah, but let's be honest. He can just sort of copy and paste his tactics from last Monday into the tactics selector for this game. I mean, he's not going to do anything different, I would have thought. I mean, fair play to Mourinho. I mean, he tried to distract from his negative tactics by accusing Liverpool of being negative on Monday night, which I thought was a very good distraction technique. Pogba was clearly saving himself for the really big game of the week for United. Fenerbahce at home in the Europa League is where Pogba likes to show off his stuff, so that was pretty good. But apparently John Terry's been spending a lot of his injury time texting Tammy Abraham, sending him very nice things. I'm not entirely sure that JT thinks that Tammy is a boy's name.
It's FANTVuk. It's a show that football fans are talking about. That's why. Dead on as ever, Chris. Dead on as ever, mate. Good to hear from you. Anything else you're expecting from this weekend in the Premier League?
No, to be honest, the rest of the games look fairly sort of standard. Swansea against Watford could be interesting. Bob Bradley's got his first sort of relegation 6-point already only in his second game, so he's probably going to have to get used to it. But Watford have been in great form since Materazzi said, "Judge me after the international break." I think they barely dropped a point since, so it's going to be tough for Bradley and Swansea. But he does have a lovely range of black polo necks.
Well, if nothing else, exactly. He must have raided Steve Jobs' cupboard when he left us. I think so. While we've got you here, Chris, and before we get thrown off the air, we've got a couple of Newcastle fans on the lime green sofa. Are you going to be giving your critique of them next season in the Premier League?
I gave him plenty of critique last season, if you read the book.
No, that's criticism.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see them keep it up. I mean, already after a couple of games into the season, Rafa was getting a load of stick, etc., etc. Not from Newcastle fans, obviously, who are well known for keeping faith in their managers. And
whoa! Hey, wait a minute! Can I make a point?
Yes, you can, sir.
We cheered. We were asked to cheer Ruud Gullit, for God's sake, prior to the Sunderland game, which eventually saw him get sacked, and we did. We were also invited to throw our weight behind the great fat Sam Allardyce prior to his firing, and we did. This myth about Newcastle fans tearing their managers to pieces is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I'm not having that.
You're lucky you're in Spain. You're
damn right, Chris. You are. Absolutely.
I'm lucky in Spain, and I just like to remind you of Joe Kinnear.
Well, hang on a minute. Who could possibly throw their weight behind Joe Kinnear? Unless it was to knock him off a cliff. I mean,
to be fair to Big Joe, he had enough weight of his own, so...
Well, yeah. I don't feel I should be throwing my weight behind anybody. It's going to do too much damage, but yeah. OK.
Chris, mate, really always good to hear from you, mate. We'll speak to you. How are you finding Football Manager 2017, by the way?
Very nice indeed. I had to tear myself away from it to spend some time with you tonight, Toby, so I'll be getting back to it straight away.
Do you know what? That's the biggest compliment you could ever pay me. To get away from Football Manager, that means that you really do love me, Chris. I appreciate that, mate.
Appreciate that.
Cheers, mate. Chris, we'll speak to you next week, mate.
No worries.
Mate. And we're going to play your sting as well. This has been Tales from the Top Flight. Yes.
Tales from the Top Flight.